So, Vansh, thank you so much for making the time to be here. I really appreciate your time, and I'm excited about the conversation we're going to have today. Welcome.
No worries, for sure. Thank you so much for reaching out. Honestly, I'd love meeting all, Kenyans from all around the world, doing impactful stuff. And I'm excited to speak to you today.
Excellent, excellent. We're going to talk about all the opportunities for young people, because I know you are just starting your undergrad at the moment. You will tell us where you
Yeah.
are. We'll talk about Rise scholarship, and so many other awards and honors that you have. But I was just checking before even we got there. Like, I was just checking on LinkedIn, and oh my goodness, I kept writing on my book all these honors and awards you've received, so many of them. What inspires you, Vansh?
Thank you so much for introducing me. So I'll start a quick off like intro before I go on
Yes,
to answer the question. So currently I'm
yes.
a first year undergraduate at Stanford University. Um, and I'm interested in intersection of computational like AI and machine learning in healthcare. Um, and so I think now to answer your question on kind of what inspires me, I think it's kind of to solve humanity's most, you know, pressing problems of today's day and age, right? And working on impactful stuff, especially in the sub-Saharan African region, where there is limited funding, and it means that a lot of under-resourced communities stay under-resourced, and there needs to be something to do, and people should do something about it. And so I think that inspires me. Going back to Kenya, I've seen firsthand the effects, especially in healthcare, like inequitable healthcare, um, and adverse medical effects that follow due to a kind of like late diagnosis. And so I think in the healthcare field, I want to go into creating impact there to help communities get educated with different diseases, and how can you prevent these individuals from getting these diseases and being diagnosed to prevent, any adverse medical outcomes. So that inspires me. How can I use my skills to elevate those in less resource populations?
And I think we should mention at this point that you are originally from Kenya, and that's why you mentioned
Yeah,
Kenya. Yes.
correct. So
And
I'm originally
yes,
from Kenya.
mentioned that. Okay. Why healthcare in particular? Why not other sector?
Yeah, so I think healthcare is going to stay forever, and there's always going to be a need. Now, if you look at like the current status quo, and high income countries, they are working on healthcare projects and products that are so technologically advanced on drug discovery, precision medicine, digital biology, but if you go back to places in low and middle income countries, especially those in like our region in sub-Saharan Africa, there's nothing being done. It's very manual, the process of, healthcare. Clinicians and doctors are reluctant to kind of implement AI into healthcare services, which means there's a massive gap and disparity between both provided in high income countries like in the US and the UK, and those produced in and those like given to populations in Africa. And I think Africa is a massive market. If you go to Africa, the genetic structure of Africans, we're very diverse. And so there's so much there. There's so much knowledge that is untouched. I think, the intersection of kind of healthcare and computational and technology, I think lies in Africa, because there's so much data available. It's just a matter about who gets that data and how they use that data to help them. And I think that's why I'm interested in healthcare. How can I go back and kind of automate and use my skills to help doctors and healthcare services in Kenya improve the quality of healthcare provided to under-resourced individuals? I think that's what one inspires me to answer the first question, but two, I think that's why I want to go into healthcare.
Okay. No, that is fair enough. That is fair enough. And I feel like you're doing so much. You inspire me, by
Mm.
the way. Like, you're young, you're just starting your undergrad, and you've published papers, you've done like amazing projects, right? So Congratulations, even getting to Stanford. So tell us, so is that what you're going to be studying at Stanford? And tell us, how is it so far at Stanford?
Correct. I'm planning, so I have 2 years to decide. I think the perk of going to university like Stanford, especially in the US system for undergrad, is you have like a freedom to explore different majors and different fields of study. And so I'm currently, I'm fascinated with AI healthcare, and I'm working on AI healthcare projects here and understanding like the emergence of like digital biology and precision medicine. That is like a class I'm taking here, which is pretty cool, which is like a speaker seminar, and I learn how to like write a research proposal. I want to go into either bioengineering or biomedical computation. Still not decided. Um, but yeah, I have that room to explore different majors if I'm interested. Um, and I think, the experience here so far has been lovely. I think Stanford, especially where it's positioned geographically in the Bay Area and San Francisco, it means there's so much happening with tech stuff here that every day you hear of something new coming out. You hear of people starting startups, you hear of people going, abroad to work on very cool stuff. And I think as a byproduct, the people you meet here are very fantastic and very lovely. Like nowhere else in the world will you meet people here who will like help set up introductions with, some other people. And I think that's why I love this place. The weather here is amazing. Um, the people here are fantastic. And I think the ecosystem, being part of the Stanford ecosystem, is something that is truly, truly, I'm very truly grateful, for. So, Stanford in itself is just an amazing place to be. Highly recommend any prospective um, students to high school students who are applying to definitely apply to Stanford. Um, it's a truly amazing place if you want to really learn, network, and go out of your way to create like genuine impact and social change.
Mm-hmm. And all the best, Vansh. I'm
Yeah,
sure
sure.
I'm sure we'll still sit here some time towards the end of your undergrad, and I know you're going to achieve so much, given what you've achieved so far. So all the best. Let's talk
All right.
about the Rise scholarship, which I think
Sure.
is yeah, it's an amazing opportunity. I think project between Schmidt Futures and Rhodes
Yeah,
Trust, they try and identify young people and kind of hold their hand through their careers. Yeah, let's talk about it. What is this Rise? And then
sure.
anything you tell us about Rise, the
Got it.
community, people you've met there, the projects.
Yeah, sure. So first, like, what is Rise? Kind of Rise supports young people and um, provides them with opportunities to allow them to work together and serve others for lifetime. The program kind of seeks young people ages 15 to 17 and encourages a lifetime of service and learning by providing support they need, including need-based scholarship, mentorship, networking, access to career development opportunities, and the potential additional funding as Rise Global winners work together to solve humanity's most pressing problems. And it is in partnership with the Rhodes Trust, like you said. Rise is one of Eric and Wendy Schmidt's philanthropic initiatives to kind of foster global talent. So that's kind of like a sneak peek or understanding of what Rise is. It genuinely, I think the community is one of a kind. Um, Similar to Stanford, how I've met so many fantastic and fascinating people. I think at Rise, everybody has worked on something which is truly creating systems change or impact in, their own nexus, where they're from, and they're all in different fields. You're always fascinated. Someone's doing public policy, someone's doing healthcare, someone's doing education, and it's all, the conversations you have with Rise Global winners is something very thought-provoking. I would say kind of my highlight of being a Rise Global winner is probably like the Rise Residential Summit, where it was a fully funded residential summit to the University of Oxford, where every for like around 1.5 weeks, we had workshop sessions, we had mentorship sessions, we had people come in, give speaker talks. You had lightning conversations with other Rise Global winners, and just to be part of the University of Oxford history, the architecture, and I'm sure you must have enjoyed that was at your time as a Rhodes Scholar. But I think that was a truly fantastic opportunity, and I'm really grateful for Rise to fully fund that trip for all of us and kind of help us connect with other people from our cohort. Um, and so Rise is a truly amazing program. I'm really grateful to have been identified as a Rise Global winner, and I think it has really helped. It is like the next stepping stone in my journey as an undergraduate. It's helped me network. It's helped me get acquainted with people in the area. I think Rise has a name, and I think it's really fantastic to see other Rise winners working on very cool stuff as well. So yeah, that's Rise. That is kind of my short take on Rise. I love Rise. The community is amazing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that is really cool, and I really like. I don't think there are so many organizations out there who are trying to identify people when they are really young, your age. So that is really cool. How do you want to talk briefly about the application process? How was it? How did you prepare? How
sure.
did you prepare to stand out?
So, great question. I think with the application process, I applied a couple of years back, so I can't fully remember the like the full application process. But it started off with kind of like essays, to learn more about who you are, and then we had like a finalist day, which is like kind of like interviews plus just getting to know you better. And so I think the whole Rise application was very genuine and authentic. I think they're trying to identify people who know what they're talking about, who are very authentic. And I think the application itself wasn't really bad compared, like very very difficult relative to some of the other scholarships that are available to a lot of people here. Um, but I would say it was very thorough. And but it was very it was very insightful. It made me learn about myself, and in the process, writing essays, talking, it made me a better speaker, made me a better writer, made me talk about myself. And I think that is something that I actually got out of the Rise application as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that is good to know. And of course, I'll ask anyone who is interested to just go to Rise website and check
Yeah,
any it's there and read more information from there.
yeah, definitely
So
go
yeah,
to the risefortheworld.org if you're interested in learning more about what Rise is.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So I was curious to know, Vansh. You have, like I was mentioning, I tried to make a list of notable awards you have.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got tired. There are like so many of them. But like out of if you were to compare like Rise, Sheg, is it Sheg Global Student Diana Award, Role
yeah.
of Honor,
Check.org. Yeah.
healthcare. Yeah, you have so many out of all these numerous awards and recognitions and projects. I was just naming a few that I found on LinkedIn, and I know that is not everything. I know you have a longer
Yeah.
list. But yeah, just talk about. I was curious about the Sheg Global Student Prize. Yeah, just pick one or two or three and talk
Sure.
about them. Yes.
So with the Check.org Global Student Prize, it is a scholarship. I'm just getting it up so I can talk about it a bit more. Um,
Yes.
and so they're like a branch of Chegg, and they focus on like impact, advocacy, and a kind of research and addressing kind of issues in the world around us. So
Mm-hmm.
what they are, let me get it up. So yeah, it is an application. It's very similar to Rise. I had to write a lot of essays, and they look for impactful individuals who are ranging from any age. Any age from undergraduate students, grad degree students. They just have to be students, right? And so it is. They partnered with the Varkey Foundation to launch this $100,000 award. It is, if you've heard of the Global Teacher Prize, it's the sister to that scholarship as well. Um, and the prize is open to all students who are at least 16 years old and enrolled in like an academic institution, highly recommend anyone who is working on impactful stuff to apply. They assess it on like academic achievement, kind of, what impact you've had on your peers, and how you make a difference in your community and beyond, and kind of the adversity you've gone through, and how you've overcome the odds and that adversity to make change. Right. I think that's something very, very, very cool. So, for me and my personal journey with Chegg, I was nominated as a top 50 global student prize for the 2023 cohort last year. And as a I didn't get through to the top 10, or I didn't win it in the end, but I think kind of the network I received from being selected for the scholarship meant I was connected now with the Czech ecosystem. Like I was very lucky enough to meet Czech Colin Goggins, who works at Czech. He's also, I think, an associate professor or a lecturer at the USC Marshall School of Business. I'm like a Czech change maker every year because the Varkey Foundation, I think, are based in Dubai. Every year, there's always like a dinner they host in Dubai. So next year, I'll probably attend that. And they do host like regional events. So whenever like Czech change makers are in the area, we do go for, meals together. We love to just catch up, see what everyone's doing. And I think, if you're joining scholarships like this, it's not for the main benefit I would say for any scholarship is actually the community. It's a community that makes a scholarship. And I think that's the great part about Chegg. You're being part of a community of prominent and ambitious individuals, and just in being inspired by what they're doing means you go the step further. You go out of your way to go out and make change. You're always inspired, always motivated. I think that's the biggest plus of being in a community like Chegg, like Rise. So yeah, attest to Chegg. That Chegg's amazing thing. It's open to anybody who's a student who's above 16. Again, recommend anyone to apply. I'm not too sure. Check out the Chegg.org Global Student Prize on the internet, and you'll get directed to the link for more information. And I think now moving on like to the Diana Award. Um, so I was awarded the Diana Award for a project I was doing when I was quite young in Kenya, where I partnered with Lions Club, the NGO, Sabati Eye Hospital, and Al Jabra Opticals based out in Dubai in the UAE, to test 63,000 children for eye-related issues. And then in the end, we provided 500 free tailor-made frames and lenses. This is kind of in response to two things. One is I visited rural schools in rural areas of Kenya, and I was very astounded, like shocked, at the kind of the quality of the environment around them. A lot of them simply just don't, like if you look at Kenya as a nexus, 65% of the working class earn less than the UN's absolute poverty line, which is $1 a day. Now with food, water, kind of rent, education, how can parents afford the glasses for children? And as a byproduct, children can't see in schools. What does that mean? They don't do well in education. That means they're stuck in this poverty cycle. And as such, if they're stuck in this poverty cycle, this whole cycle, of poverty remains through generations of that family. And so, I was seeing where I could help and kind of create change. And so we were able to provide 500 free frames and lenses. Um, and then we were able to do 26 eye restorative surgeries, including cataracts. And I think that was a very inspiring kind of moment for me. Like, I was able to kind of be a catalyst to kind of creating change in my home community. And I think that really got me involved in how do I continue working on cool projects that, I'm very passionate about, but I know people will benefit from. And so that was my background. That's why I was awarded the Dan Award back in, I think, 2017 or 2018. And ever since the Dan Award, they do events. They have Diana, like they had talks. They had like seminars, they had sessions where conversations for change. And so again, the community you're part of with these scholarships, it means you get acquainted with so many cool people doing very cool stuff. And I think, again, coming back to it, I think that's what makes scholarships and what makes such foundations what they are today. It's not like the financial benefit you get from it. It's not like it's not the other benefits. It is the community of individuals who make the scholarship what it is. So I recommend, again, anyone applying to the DAN Award, who's working on impactful projects, go to the DAN Award. They look for people who are working on philanthropy, and it's a very cool kind of ecosystem to be part of, I would say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, certainly. And thank you for sharing. And oh my goodness, that is a
Mm.
deeply impactful project that you're able to do at that young age. So well done, well done. Talking about impact, we spoke earlier and you mentioned that you're also passionate about, yeah, all sorts of impact. And I was reading all sorts of impact to Kenya, especially. And I was reading
Yeah,
that you run some project with your sister. Is it education related to do
yeah,
with
yeah.
yeah, tell us about
Correct.
that.
So, I don't know, anyone who's based in Kenya, you may have heard of Old Books for New Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Old Books for New Eyes is a kind of like a foundation. So my project was for testing children's eyes, was called Old Frames for New Eyes. And then,
Mm.
in fact, when we visited a school, it was called Kiwi School. I think it was in Machakos. Um, we were very astounded by the fact that there were no books available to young students, and we were like, how can they learn? You know, literacy is a massive issue in Kenya and Sub-Saharan Africa, and mean that if they cannot learn, they can't apply their skills, and they can't go abroad and come back and make change, right? So we were like, okay, how can we help improve literacy rates in Kenya, especially those among young children? So my sister founded this initiative that I was part of, and she founded it. It's called Old Books for New Eyes, and so far we've donated, I think, 250,000 books, or more. Don't quote me. I think above 200,000 books to under-resourced schools in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Angola, Rwanda, and I think we're moving to other countries in Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa as well. So what the project kind of about is donating pre-loved books from the UAE, Middle Eastern region, and shipping them to Kenya, where Lions Club are in charge of distributing and setting up libraries in schools in rural locations. So it was recognized by Citibank as a very philanthropic project. It's a partner of Maersk Shipping Line, as well. And so I don't have all the details on me, but it is a very cool project. Definitely look out for it if you're based in Kenya. Um, Feel free to reach out to Dr. Gladys if you're interested in setting up a library, or you think your school may need some libraries. And then I can help out on that front probably. Um, and we always were, my sister, she's big into English, literature, reading, writing. And I think, doing and working on literature and working and reading means that you're able to unlock a different side to yourself. I know a lot of people work on very STEMmy stuff and very science backgrounds, but I would say that, providing books to young children allows them to kind of um, improve their imagination, and, it piques their interest. And I think that is something that we've been working on. And so feel free to reach out. I think there's a lot of stuff that's still yet to be done, and we're doing as much as we can in the region, and we're really trying to kind of create impact on the grassroots level to help improve like literacy rates, in youth, specifically in youth. Yeah. So that's what All Books for New Eyes is a part. All Books for New Eyes is, that's what it is.
Okay. And I'll ask you about there is a hobby that you keep bringing up. I saw it on the socials about drumming. We'll talk about that. But before we go to the hobbies, any other project that you want to touch on, and any other opportunity that you would want young people, especially from Kenya, to be looking out for, or I don't know, it just talk to high schoolers and
Yeah.
such people. Yes.
So I think Well, I think to break your question into two, I think a cool project that I was working on for the last couple of years was using AI to detect type 2 diabetes early in patients, in Kenyan patients, using clinical data, patient
Mm-hmm.
demographics, without the HbA1c blood test. So currently, the blood test itself costs like around $80. And if you think about it, it is around 80 days worth of hard work for a lot of the working class families because they earn like almost less than $1 a day. And again, coming back to their
Mm-hmm.
kind of expenses they had, it's simply unaffordable. And so a lot of patients they go undiagnosed for a long time and they develop then diabetic retinopathy and they could require amputation if type 2 diabetes goes that far. And so that was a very interesting project I've been working on. I was working on developing machine learning algorithms to predict at-risk individuals of type 2 diabetes in Kenya. Uh, and kind of that while interviewing patients, I think that sprung me to think about, okay, a lot of women did not know what gestational diabetes was during pregnancy. It's like high elevated blood glucose levels during pregnancy. And I'm like, okay, so what can I do about it? And so I partnered or I contacted this lady, Dr. Jaspreet Loyal. She's an associate professor of pediatrics at the Yale School of Medicine and the Yale Hospital, and she's also from Kenya. And we worked on a literature review on understanding SNPs, so single nucleotide polymorphisms. They're like small genetic architecture that elevate kind of risk of gestational diabetes in women, and how to prevent adverse medical outcomes on both mother and infant. Because if a mother gets diagnosed with gestational diabetes, it does also have effects on kind of infant health. And so that was pretty cool. We got it published in Yale Journal of Biology and Medicine. And I think I want to continue working on going into predisposition and at risk, prevention. I think that's something which I'm deeply passionate about. The move away from like capex technologies and treatment will allow sub-Saharan Africa to leapfrog that digital divide in prevention. Because if you're able to help prevent, it means you don't need to pump as much money into treatment. And I think if you're able to help prevent early, it is a massive thing because on the flip side, um, people don't go through the adverse medical effects. So I think, on that front, I'm very passionate about working on projects, especially in the healthcare AI space in Kenya. And if, to whoever is listening to the interview, if you have projects that, are available on a like very deep level, if you have organizations working on AI assisted healthcare, I would love to come join, probably me for a summer as well, to come back to Kenya and work as an intern or even work as like a software engineer to help, or as a data scientist and biologist, computational biologist to help and come work on impactful work in that region. So if anybody who's listening to the interview, please feel free to reach out to me as well. But now from moving away from kind of that question, and kind of a call to high school students, I think, you know, high school students, especially, wherever you are based, I think, um, just look for opportunities that are available to you. Um, don't limit yourself to kind of one field. You're still in high school. You don't know what you want to do. Um, and there's still so much opportunities and so many resources out there. Definitely check out all the scholarships I said, Diana Award, Rise, Chegg. Um, and if you're interested in going down to AI path, look at Coursera. Coursera has a lot of free courses on AI and machine learning. Look at MIT EDX. They have a lot of free courses from MIT lecturers that you can audit for free. And so much of this knowledge is available for you to just grab and take and apply your skills. Do not limit yourself very early on. I think that is something that um, I would recommend all high school students do. Look for resources, look for knowledge, learn, gain wisdom, and apply your skills. I think that is, with the current education system, it means a lot of individuals are very book smart, but it means they don't really have the skill set to really apply themselves in the real world. And so um, I would recommend look for opportunities where you can do that and leverage on them and make sure you're able to do that with impact. So that's my advice for any high school students who are out there in the process of applying to university or going to high school or who want to work on projects. Yeah, that's my advice for you guys. And good luck with your
Mhm.
journey.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Vansh, let's go to your hobbies,
Yeah,
particularly
sure.
drum. Yes, where did you develop? Where is this hobby coming from? And then talk about other
Yeah,
hobbies. Yeah, I think I
sure.
saw drum quite a bit.
Yeah. So when I was
Yes.
very young, I think when I was 6 or 5, I was enrolled in like piano classes, but I never liked piano. And so I was never like really, I never really enjoyed it. But then I went to like an event and I saw some guys who were drumming, and I'm like, this is so cool. And so one day I just hopped on the drums and I'm like, this is for me. And I've never gone back. It's been, I think, almost 10 plus years since I started drumming. Um, I love rock and pop. I play a lot of local concerts. In Dubai, in where for my high school, I performed in a lot of music concerts. Music Charity Love was a event hosted by my school, Dubai College, that raised funds for um, a school they were building in Nepal. And it was so cool to see how like I can use drumming for philanthropic initiatives. Um, I was also part of like the school band where we performed Fame the musical. I also, I founded two bands, KEV and MMS. Those were the two names. So in grade 6, we were interviewed by Pearl FM on the radio. We had covered like our song covers on Pearl FM for radio. Um, we won the Battle of the Bands in my school. And now I'm currently doing my diploma in drumming, my ATCL diploma, which is equivalent to a first year undergraduate degree in like drumming, right? So it's part of the Trinity Rock and Pop syllabus. And yeah, I think, away from all the concerts and all the like the grading requirements of drumming, I think drumming is truly a fantastic instrument. So, well, my neighbors would not say, well, my neighbors wouldn't agree. It's very loud for them. Um, but it is a very stress-free environment. I think, after a very busy day and very tough day at school, or you're working, just going on my drum set, playing my favorite songs, I think really allows me to kind of be free. And I really, thank drumming. Coming to university, my kind of lifestyle's changed a bit. I don't have access to the drums every day either. And so, when I go back and for winter holidays, I'm going to be so grateful for the fact that I have a drum set available to me that I can play. Um, and so, yeah, I think music and literature, how I said literature opens the side of your mind, that is very interesting. I think music as well, the intersection of music and well-being. I think music is a very important aspect to one's life. I think if you play music, you listen to music, I think it has very it has effects that really help you. And I would recommend anybody to get involved in the, in the ecosystem of music, sing, karaoke, go out, have fun. Don't be embarrassed, don't be scared um, to take in music as part of your life. I think music has done a lot for me, and I'm very grateful for that, for the opportunity that I had to be able to drum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, certainly, certainly, and I do agree with you that it brings certain kind of balance. Yeah, instead of just like going into research or books, but then also trying to, yeah, use that talent and explore. So that is really
Yeah.
nice. That is really. Now that you mentioned Dubai College, how was it studying there? Paint a picture
Oh,
for us.
yeah, yeah. So my
Best
school, my high school was
memories,
Dubai
perhaps.
College. Oh,
Yes,
okay. My high school was
yes.
Dubai College. It was I was there for 7 years, so it was I don't know if for your audience, if they're like work in the American system or the British system or the Kenya or the African system. But we were from grade 6 to grade 12 for year 7 to year 13. That's when I was in DC, my school for. Um, Best memories would actually be the my drumming memories.
Okay.
Literally, I played in so many concerts at my time there, and they provided like a platform for me to truly like utilize and kind of leverage for for my enjoyment and like for my drumming. And I think I'm very grateful for the number of opportunities I had available on that front. Um, DC was also like a fantastic place. It was very diverse. There were a lot of people I met from different areas of the world. And I think it made me more cultured. It made me more understanding of different perspectives and viewpoints that informed kind of the way I live today. And more importantly, if I'm going to companies, if I'm going to startups, um, understanding people's cultures, people's viewpoints is something that is so important and so unique. I think that's something I also truly appreciate about my school. So yeah, those two were probably the what made my school one of like, what made my time at my school very fun and very cool, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds very cool. That sounds very cool. So now, Vansh, as we go towards the end, I have a couple of random questions that I
Sure.
like to ask. One, the first question is, so there is no right answer. It's just like random thoughts you have.
Yeah, yeah.
So the first question is, and I already have a feeling that I know the answer you will give, but just when you look at the world right now, what would you say is number one thing that is really bothering you, like that you wish if you had all the powers you would solve like immediately?
I would literally say it is social media, and I would say,
Social
um,
media, I was thinking of diabetes and AI.
well,
Sorry,
I
yeah.
I would say, yeah, no, no, healthcare is a field that will always exist, but I think what
Okay.
we're not doing is living in the moment. Our generation, we're not absorbing, the world around us. We're looking at through a virtual lens, and I think that is something we're missing out on, and it's a massive problem because students and people they're getting so addicted to their phones nowadays. I think how do you help students cope with mental health and well-being? I think that social media goes hand in hand with lower mental health, and I think that's a massive problem post COVID-19 and the pandemic. The youth, the adults the affected by mental health conditions has gone, through the roof. And I think if you don't have a healthy, if you have a physically healthy population, but you don't have a mentally healthy population, you cannot be working on impactful stuff. And I think that's our number one issue today as a generation, as a youth. The access to social media is so easy, and it's so easy to become addicted nowadays. But how do you cope in a society that is so technologically advanced? I think that is something which I'm also still navigating. I think we're all navigating that journey, ourselves. But if we can all collectively come together and, you know, reduce our social media usage. Social media is a tool. If you use it for the right stuff, and you know how like you guys are using it. How Dr. Gladys reached out to me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a tool for networking. But some social media services they go above and beyond. And I think what the issue is with there is the addiction, the mental health well-being, the expectations that rise. Through the roof. I think that's something that has a genuine impact on, mental health on a youth level. And I think that's something that is probably one of the biggest press and most pressing problems of today's day and age.
I certainly agree, and I think many people will agree with you, and that it's an ongoing discussion, and there is no one answer to the solution that we
Yeah.
need. But yeah, it will be. It's really. I'm really curious to know what will the impact of all this will be. But like you've already mentioned, like mental health that is affecting our mental health, and I don't think anyone will disagree, and especially if you don't use it carefully. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is a very good one. I don't think anyone has talked about social media, and
Hmm.
I'm happy to hear your perspective. Yeah. Let's talk about number two. Have you you still very young. You still very
Yeah.
young. And I know you're still learning and growing. But like when you look back, what is right now? What is a lesson that you're currently learning, or something new that you are uncovering that you wish you had known way earlier when you were younger, maybe high school or primary?
The power of networking. I think especially here, I've heard the phrase, your network is your net worth. And it's not, you know, what you know. Of course, you need to understand the world around you. You need to be smart enough to have the knowledge up here. But I think what I've not been exposed to, and I've come to Stanford, I've been really exposed to is the power of meeting people. I think the human interactions is something that is so crucial today's age, and I think networking is, a massive place in, accessing opportunities that are sometimes not always available to you. Um, I think it is great to have, the wisdom and the knowledge of, being this guy who was, represented the national team for mathematics for a country, or it's great to know that you could win this hackathon, you're able to code this project. But if you aren't able to sell yourself and talk to people, socially in a social setting and network, I think that's a massive thing I'm learning, and it's something I didn't realize during my time in middle school, when I was young, during my time in high school. But since I've come here, I've realized that it is an amazing opportunity, and it's just amazing to get to know people. I love talking, and so I love just listening to other people's stories, um, and kind of talking to them about their journey so far. And I think, um, it's a lesson I'm learning. I'm navigating through that, but it's something I'm happy that I've understood early on in my time here. I've only been here for like 1.5 months as well, so it's not been too long. But yeah, it's just in that ecosystem here.
Yeah.
Everybody's here to support you. And I think, talking to so many people here has really opened my mind up to the power of talking, socializing, networking. Yes,
And I'm so glad you're learning this at your age. It took me ages. And I've had several guests too. Also, everyone keeps mentioning the power of other people and the power of networking, because you can never know everything on your own. You need other people
correct.
all the time. Yeah. So that is really amazing. That is amazing. So, lastly, I like to, because this is something that I like to do intentionally, because even myself, when I'm sharing on social media, I kind of curate the positive things that I share with people, and so people never get to see the failures, the challenges on the back end. And so what I normally like to do with the guests is to intentionally talk about maybe a failure, just volunteer a failure or a
Sure.
challenge that you've gone through, that will encourage other students or other young people to know that, hey, we are normal people, that you might have all these awards, but sometimes you've gotten like a challenge or a failure along the
Yeah,
way.
for
So just
sure.
volunteer
No.
whichever. Is it a failure, a
Yeah,
challenge?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so when I was born with a tongue tie and a lisp, as you can hear from my S sometimes. And I
Mm.
think that was a massive like struggle for me. How do I cope with myself in a public setting and speaking? And I think that was also a challenge for my well-being. It was like I felt kind of insecure sometimes speaking because I knew that my S, well, I didn't sound like the same compared to a lot of my friends, my family. And so I think that was a challenge. And how did I cope was, I went to school, I enrolled in public speaking activities, debating, and today I now kind of use my voice to be a leader, a scientist, and someone who wants to genuinely create impact. I think going through the struggle of speaking, and that's made me a better socializer, made me a better talker. It made me someone who is always willing to go out and not care about what other people think of you. And I think, um, people should, take down that personality, have that personality, and the motivation, and the effort to go out of your way to do, work despite adversity, despite the challenge that you've gone through. And so I think that was a challenge I faced, and I think how I overcome that challenge was through the support systems around me, my family, my friends, the activities I was enrolled in that really promoted the way in which I spoke, and elevated my confidence. I think confidence is key, and I think even failures elevate your confidence. It means you do a failure, but now you know why you went wrong, and you're not going to repeat that mistake again. So I think just from that standpoint, that's kind of like my story.
Mm. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. That is really powerful, and you are able to, see, make something positive out of it. So thanks for sharing, Vansh.
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is we are now at the end. So if you, I would ask you to give maybe one last word to my
Sure.
audience, and then we'll close it here. And I know I'll call you back another time, maybe when you graduate.
So first, thank you so much for listening, Dr. Gladys. Thanks for inviting me on. Being a very cool opportunity to speak to you today. Feel free to reach out to either her or me on LinkedIn or whatever works if you're interested in talking or you have a project that is working on serious impact. And to those organizations that are also listening, I would love to, for you guys to possibly reach out to if there are opportunities for me to come work under you guys on a healthcare AI setting, from a computer science and prevention standpoint. There's so many cool opportunities that I'm available here. They're available here, but I'm not eligible to as a Kenyan citizen because I'm not a PR green card holder or a US citizen. And so I would love to come back to Kenya this summer to work on very interesting projects and continue helping those in underserved communities. So that's kind of like my closing statement. Continue to work on cool stuff. Don't don't limit yourself. The sky is the limit. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys all do.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Vansh, for coming. We
Sure.
appreciate your
Thank you.
time, and all the best with the rest of your undergraduate program in the US.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.